Hi, everyone. This is Brittnee Bonds, and welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so here is the real story of how I made it to Bali. I said I was going to talk about it in the last podcast. I got a little happily occupied sharing with you about men in my life and how all the yummy stuff is happening. So if you want to check out that podcast, I highly recommend it, the last one I made. But this one is purely going to share with you the adventure / chaos that is Brittnee Bond's life. So I told you in the last podcast how I was like talking about, like, I was going to make a New Year's Eve party, and then suddenly I decided I was going to Bali. And I definitely felt when I booked the flights that it was a fuck yes. Like, I felt like the universe wants me to go to Bali. Like, I'm looking at this infinity pool, and like this villa overlooks the jungle, and I'm with my best friend and her family, and it's just like there's a lot of reasons why Bali was pulling me in this direction. So this is where the story gets a little juicy and like chaotic. Is I realized after I booked the flight that my I knew I needed to. So I have a Thai company that I opened last year with my Thai mama. She's like my spiritual family on the island. She's a Thai woman who has adopted me as her spiritual daughter, and she was willing to be on my company. So like, I don't even need to go into it. Basically, I have a Thai company, and under the Thai company, I have what's called a work permit, and this is my visa. That makes it so I legally can work in Thailand, and I can stay in Thailand like as if I'm a resident, so like a Thai resident. Obviously, I don't have the same rights as a Thai person logically, but I don't have to like leave the country on visa runs and stuff, which is really important when you actually live somewhere for the emotional and psychological stability of like, this is just my home and I can stay here. Every year you have to renew this, and my renewal was coming up in last December. And so my lawyer was giving me my work permit, like renewing my work permit for me. So you pay her, and she just basically gets a new one for you. And so I went on Thursday of last week, and I was like, hey, I need my work permit. And then I find out that there's all this drama with my ex-boyfriend where he overstayed him and I both have work permits under the same Thai company that I opened last year. And he overstayed on his visa, and there was all the stuff that happened. I found out a lot of stuff that happened that I didn't know. He didn't tell me. My lawyer didn't tell me. And so I'm like walking into this, like, my visa situation, my stable life in Thailand almost got really dramatically affected by my ex-boyfriend, and no one even said a word to me about it. And it worked out. It all got fixed, but it was like, there's still some stuff I need to handle around that when I get back, which I'll share once the story is settled. But basically I said to her, okay, let's talk about this when I get back from Bali. There's some decisions I am going to make now because of the situation. But I just need my work permit because I'm leaving. And she was like, okay, well, because of all the stuff that happened, I need one more day, because we had to like wait to get it all sorted because you guys' stuff is connected. And so she's like, come back tomorrow. Well, on Friday, again, so I'm leaving the island Tuesday at 1 p.m. This is in the story timeline, so you understand how this all goes down. And that is also happens to be December 31st, the last day of the year is when I flew out. So on Friday, I ended up not going. I don't know what was happening, but I just like totally went over my head to go. And I just thought, okay, I'll go on Monday. I have one day before I leave. Not realizing that it is New Year's Eve, in the sense that like, I knew it was New Year's Eve, but I didn't realize like everyone starts shutting their offices. So my lawyer's office was closed on Monday. And so I'm like, I find this out on Saturday that basically the lawyer has closed the office and has gone home. And like home for her means like the mainland in Thailand, like she's not on the island. So there's no way I can get my work. At least for me, I was thinking, oh my God, there's no way I can get my work permit. And how am I going to leave the country? Because if you leave the country without your work permit, as far as I knew at the time, that meant that you were not going to be allowed back in. Or if you were allowed back in, you would have to come back in on a tourist visa. And basically, it is so hard to get the visa that I got. It took a lot of emotional pain and financial money to get it. And I was like, I was not going to mess it up and like somehow void it just by like not handling the situation properly. So I'm like messaging my lawyer. She's not answering. I'm messaging her staff. They're telling me they're in Chiang Mai. And I was just like, you know what? Maybe on Monday I go there and someone is there and they'll just give me my work permit. Like they know me. They're kind of like, on the island, everything is very much like you're either in or out. Like your family vibes to the Thai people, or they do not care about you and they're just like, fuck you. So with them, I'm like definitely family vibes. Like the way that she handled the situation when my ex like overstayed and everything that happened around that, she basically, my lawyer just basically made me the president of the company and just handled everything. Whereas any other lawyer would either just like not do that and just you would be screwed over, or they would make you pay a lot of money in order to fix it for you. And she just handled it and just did it. And so I'm really valuing that and I'm honoring that. Except for the fact that that also means that like family vibes is also on the island means like flow state. Like, you know, you might not get it in the exact time that you want it or whatever. And I'm totally taking responsibility that I should have gone on Friday when she told me to, and I didn't. I totally spaced it. I also just have been very full with like work and people like friends visiting and just lots of life things happening. So I still like prayed to the universe. I was like, I feel like I'm going to go to Bali, you know, like I feel like I'm meant to go on this trip, but I'm also surrendered. If I'm not meant to go, then I won't go, you know, like whatever is meant to happen is what's happening. And so I drive down on Monday. There's literally no one there. And I don't know what to do because I basically have to take the 11 a.m. boat the next morning because I have to go. There's no airplanes. If you don't know this, there's no airport on Koh Phangan, the island that I live on. You have to take a speedboat, 30 minutes to Koh Samui, which is the neighboring island, and then take a taxi to the airport. So in order for me to get on my flight at 1:30, I have to leave the next morning. So I had to figure all of this stuff out on Monday. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's literally no one in the office and I don't have a visa to leave legally and come back legally. And so I just kept saying to myself, stay in your center. Like, what is happening right now? Like, listen to your intuition. Listen, the universe is always speaking to you, like, through your intuition, through other people. Like, what is trying to happen right now that is positive for you? And so after I went down to the lawyer's office and they weren't there, I already had scheduled to do a workout with my friend Sasha. And so I just thought, I don't know what else to do right now. So I guess I'm going to go work out with Sasha. Let's just go. And we had a great time. And it was like the last time we worked out before I was supposed to leave for Bali. And so it was going to be the last time I was going to see him because he was leaving while I'm away. And then I'm talking to him about the situation. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just kind of like, I'm staying calm, but I don't know what to do. Like, I need help. I need help from the universe. And he was like, well, you know, like, yeah, your lawyer is supposed to give you the work permit, but like immigration, like Thailand immigration office is actually the one who's going to give you the right information. Like maybe there's some other way you can get your work permit. Maybe you can get like, I don't know, some way where you can leave the country and it's okay. And I was like, okay, that's a really good idea. Like maybe the universe was speaking through him to give me this information. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go down to the immigration office right now. I'll drive down there. They are closed. And so I'm like sitting, again, it's like a 20-minute drive. So I've already done this like twice. So I like went all the way back down to the main city. And I'm just sitting on my scooter outside of the closed immigration office. And I'm like, what am I meant to do? Like, I'm staying in my center. I'm like, maybe I'm not meant to get on the plane tomorrow. I don't know. You know, like, I don't know. If I'm meant to go, I'm going to go. But I said to the universe, I was like, I need to have this sorted first because I don't feel comfortable leaving without knowing if it's safe for me to come back in. And so I was like telling the universe, I need to know the information. Like, I can't just go on a plane and get out of the country and come back and like worry about not being able to get back in. And there's this Thai guy that is like coming in and out of the office, but he's in like plain clothes. Like they have special uniforms they wear when they're working, but he's just wearing like normal clothes, but I can tell that he works there. You know, he just has this energy of like, he's the boss, but he also has this energy of like, do not bother me. Like I'm on holiday already and I'm just grabbing some stuff so I can go home. And so at first I just left him alone. I honored that energy, but then Like, then someone came and delivered mail, and he went back. He basically walked by me 2 or 3 times, and by the third time I was like, okay, the universe really wants me to talk to this guy. Like, I'm always following my intuition, and my intuition was like, just ask him. So I was like, hi, excuse me, you know, like using my feminine energy, like, I don't want to bother you, but like, I don't know what to do. I need help. And he was like, okay, what do you need help with? And I was like, just told him situation. I'm leaving the country. I don't know if I can on my visa, and my lawyer is still figuring out my work permit, or still processing my work permit. And he was like, okay, show me your passport. And I showed him my passport, and he was like, oh, okay, yeah, you have a non-B visa. So basically, like, the visa that is showing in my passport is good till February. And he was like, this is like, your passport is what gets you in and out of the country. And like, yeah, they might ask you about your work permit, but because your passport here says you're good until February, you're fine. Like, don't, he's like, Mabin Lai, which means in Thai, like, no worries, it's all good. And I was like, okay, but what about when I come back in? Like, are they going to be upset? And he was like, well, your lawyer's office opens on the 2nd, so why don't you just message them, you know, and get a photocopy of your work permit, and just show it to them, and it'll be fine. Like, he's like, it's okay, like, you're good as long as you have this visa and it says on here you're good till February. And I was like, okay, so you're saying it's safe for me to leave the country and come back in? And he was like, yes, it is safe. Like, just go have fun. And I was like, I was like, thank you so much. You don't realize like how much you just like saved my whole day, because I really just didn't know what to do. And he was like, it's fine. Okay, bye. Happy New Year. And I was like, okay, bye. And then I go home, and like immediately when I got home, I found out that the woman who was going to stay in my house and watch my dog, Afro, canceled on me. And I was just like, and like my friend just came over, and like she was fostering these kittens, and she brought them for the neighbor, and she's like trying to talk to me, and like other people are there, and like my friends are in the house, and everyone's like just trying to talk to me like normal, and I'm just like on the edge of having this kind of like nervous breakdown, because I was just like, I also you have to understand, I haven't been getting that much sleep this last week because my friends were visiting, and I was connecting with new lovers. Like, there was just a lot of things happening, and also I was working a lot. There was just a lot of things happening in my vortex. And this day was very much like, is Brittnee going to have a meltdown? And I was on the verge of it from, this tree is dropping fruit. That's what happens when you're in Bali. Also Thailand, let's be real. Tropical countries. But yeah, so I was just like, am I meant to go, you know? And so I talked to my friends about it. I was just like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm on my edge, you know, I'm doing my best to stay in my center, but I'm very much on my edge. And I just like, I'm asking universe for a sign. And so they were all like, oh yeah, we support you. Like, why don't you just post it in like the group? We have group chats for like housing on the island. So I just posted it again. I was like, hey, someone canceled. Like, does anyone still want to rent a place? I had like 3 to 5. I think in the end I had about 5 people reaching out. And then like, they were all interested. It was great. I was going to have them come over and like introduce them to Afro, meet my housemate and stuff. And then one by one, they all were like, oh, actually, we booked something else. Or, you know, like, we didn't hear back from you because you were talking to someone else. And so we ended up booking something. And I was just like, okay. So by the end of the day, it's like 8 p.m. And I have no one to, like, I'm leaving the next morning at 11 a.m. And I have no one to watch my dog. And I don't know what to do, and my housemate's not available because he's busy with other stuff, and he's like, so it's just like, and that was kind of the things I said to the universe was like, I need to make sure I can come in and out on my visa, and I need to make sure Afro's taken care of in order for me to really settle into the situation and feel like it's a good idea for me to go to Bali. And I got the first one figured out, but the second one I didn't have figured out. And so I talked to Daria and I talked to some other friends, and they were all like, just wait till tomorrow morning. Like, it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, like literally so many, and the island is full, you know, and if there is a place, like a lot of the places were super overpriced. So they were like, of course someone's going to want to stay at your house. It's like so magical and beautiful. And Afro's like the nicest dog ever. Of course people are going to want to stay there, you know? Like, it's going to work out, but also just give this universe more time and like let it go and just like trust. And I was like, okay. So I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and still I didn't have anyone to watch Afro. And I was just like, oh, like it's like 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the last day of the year, December 31st, 2024. And I'm like, am I meant to go to Bali today? Like, I already have my tickets booked. I have my taxi. I have my boat. I have everything booked. And I was willing to not go. I was like really like, I'm okay with it. I was not emotionally attached. I was just kind of like asking the universe for like a clear answer. So then Sasha comes over, and he he's like, Brittnee, why don't you just go and like I'll watch Afro. I'm here for 2 more days. I'll stay here. I'll watch Afro. I'll feed her. You onboard me with everything that needs to happen with the house, like how to get into the house, how to take care of Afro. And I'm positive that someone is going to come through. And if not, then you have enough of a friend group that everyone can take turns like feeding Afro and walking her every day. And so I reached out to some friends and they were like, yeah, of course we'll show up. Of course we'll like watch Afro. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. So I showed Sasha how to use the house and like how to take care of Afro. And then I just was like, okay, I'm going. Okay, universe, I'm taking action. I'm taking physical action on my excitement. I'm going. I'm excited to go to Bali. So I get on my scooter. I go down to the boat. I get on the boat to Samui. I get in the taxi. I get to the airport. And this is when I find out that my flight has been canceled. I'm not even joking with you. And no one messaged me. I checked my email. No one messaged me. So my flight has been canceled apparently for 24 hours. And I also have a connecting flight in Singapore so basically I was flying from Koh Samui to Singapore and then from Singapore to Bali. And I was supposed to land my original flight was at 8:30. I was going to land in Bali. And they're like, it's fine. We've booked you on a later flight. And I was like, no, I have to get on the 1:30 flight. Basically they made another flight and they like tried to move as much people. They already had another existing flight at 1:30 and they tried to move as many people over as possible. But they just kind of moved random people and they didn't realize that I had a connecting flight. And so they're like, we put you on the 4 p.m. boat or plane. And I was like, but I'm going to miss my connecting flight. It's not enough time. And they were like, they tried. So then they were like, okay, just wait patiently. We think some people are not going to show up. And so I like waited for an hour and they were being so nice, the ladies at the desk, the flight desk. And I was just like literally closing my eyes, like stay in your center. If you're meant to get to Bali today, you'll get to Bali. And again, I was just like, at this point I don't have anyone to like stay with Afro. So maybe I'm just meant to go back home. Like all I missed out on was like a boat ride. I can just go back, have New Year's with my friends and I can get my flight refunded because they messed it up. So it's like, it's all good in the hood, And so I just waited patiently. And I was like very much in my like, I was in my like calm, centered, feminine energy and being really nice to them. And so they basically, I go back, they call me over and they're like, we're really sorry, but like everything's been booked. And like the people actually all showed up. And there's another guy who's in the same situation as me and he's like screaming at them. And I just said to him, I was like, dude, you're not helping the situation. Like, and then I end up calming him down and like co-regulating him and just being like, what do you actually need right now? And like helped him figure out what he needed to do for his travel plans. And then he was good and he went on his way. And then I said to them, I was like, look, I need to get to Bali today. Like, I actually really feel like I want to go. And they were like, okay, well, what we can do is like get you on the 4 p.m. flight. And then you just need to rebook a new flight. And then like, talk to your insurance provider or your credit card, whoever you booked it, and see if you can like get the money back for the original flight. And I was just sitting there and I was like, this is a lot of effort. It's basically going to take me 12, like at this point, the flight that I was looking at the last flight I could take would mean that like I would land in Bali like around midnight. So it would be like literally a 12-hour day of traveling. And I was like, okay, I need a moment. I said to them, I was like, I just need to think about this a second. And I sat down and I was like, asking the universe, I'm like, I really need a sign here that like I'm meant to go to Bali. And then someone just calls me on my phone like an unknown number and I just answer it. And it's like, hi, we're this amazing, lovely couple that like really love dogs and we really want to stay with your dog and we'll take such good care of her. And like, here's a photo of our dog from back home and like, and just like, we can move in today and like we can handle everything and just like how can we help you feel safe and what do you need to like feel good about us and like just like it was just like a full body yes for me, like energetic yes for them to stay there and like watch Afro. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. So like Afro has someone to take care of her. I can just go hang out. I have airport lounge access. I can just go hang out in the airport lounge, do some work on my computer, chill out, talk to my friends. And, it's just going to be an extra like 3 or 4 hours of hanging out in an airport lounge and then I get to Bali, right? So I tell them, okay, yeah, I want to get on the 4 p.m. flight. I book like another flight from Singapore later that will get me to Bali at midnight. And then so I get on the 4 p.m. flight, and so then I just do it, right? And then I like go and hang out in the airport lounge. It's fine. I'm chilling. I'm just like, at this point I'm just really tired because I just feel like the universe has been testing me right and left, like for the last couple days before this with the visa stuff, and then with like having someone watch Afro, and then the flight got canceled, and I was like, like, is this another dark night of the soul? Like, am I supposed to be learning some lesson here? And my lesson was just like, stay in your center. Like, it's okay if you're meant to go. Like, so I was saying, like, Daria was telling me, like, this is your last test of 2024. And I'm like, this is a fucking annoying test, but okay, I'm staying calm. It's happening. We're doing this. And then like the first flight that I get on, they're delayed like by a half an hour. And then we take off, we land in Singapore, but there's something going on with the planes there. Basically, the point is that, like, they didn't let us off the plane. Like, I basically got off the plane an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour later than I should have. And so I literally had to run from that airplane to the next airplane. And I got there, like, right when they were, like, closing the board, like the like final call for your flight to Bali to Denpasar. And I was just like, I am so tired. Can we just, so basically I got and I sat down on my flight to Bali. I got in the plane, I sat down, and I just immediately fell asleep because I was just so tired and so surrendered. And I was like, I made it. I did all the things. I stayed calm. I did everything I needed to do. I am going to Bali. I am arriving in Bali. What's funny is, like, energetically, because it took me so much energy just to get here. When I landed here in Bali, I landed when the fireworks were going off over the whole island. And I will always remember this moment. The plane was pretty empty because, like, who wants to fly at New Year's when you can actually be on the ground enjoying yourself? But like, I didn't really have a choice. But anyways, so I'm like looking over at all the fireworks, and I was just like, wow, I did it. I made it here. And it was hard. It was really hard to get here this time around. And you know what's funny? I was like looking back on my Insta stories from last New Year's, and I literally don't even remember what I did last New Year's. Like, that's how uneventful it was. And this one I will always remember. It's going down in the books. And then I like get off the plane, and because it's New Year's, like, there's like all the locals around are like super drunk, and I'm like trying to get a taxi, like a Grab. It's like our Uber here in Asia, and all of the cars are super booked, and I keep booking them, they keep canceling, or it's like 15-minute wait, and then like I'm waiting and they're getting stuck in traffic. And then there's all these like scooter taxi drivers standing around me, and they're all just like, come on, it's not going to come. Just get on a scooter with us. And finally I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. I was like, can you pay the same price as Grab? Or I'm going to pay the same price as Grab. And they were like, yeah, it's fine. So I get on in the back of one of the scooters, and I was just like, let's go. And it takes like an hour to get from the airport to Ubud. And I have him like have my little suitcase and my backpack, and I'm wearing a helmet, and I'm like just like looking. It was just so funny because I'm like, I can't believe I'm in Bali right now. And, you know, and it's literally like 12:30 at New Year's Day, you know, into midnight, just past midnight on New Year's Day. And all the locals are super drunk, and they're like getting in fights. And I was just like, and there's just like chaos everyone, like fireworks going off, and the air is so thick with smoke because here, you know, they got the ghetto fireworks. And I was just like, this is beautiful. I'm really happy to be alive. Like, what is my life? I'm just experiencing things in this reality. And I was just like so surrendered. And then it starts pouring, and we're on a scooter, you know, like I'm not in a car. And so he pulls over and gives me a rain jacket, and he has a rain jacket. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, I think I got to my villa at like 2 a.m. And I was just so tired. And I had friends who live here in Bali, and they were at an after party at a villa nearby. And I was just like, I cannot. I really wanted to work up the energy to go. And I even had that intention, okay, I'm going to go home and take a shower, and then I'm going to pop into a party. And I'm like, I have just been through so much. Like, all I want to do is like sit in my bed and just not do anything. So that's what I did. And I bought a bunch of like snacks And I just ate like yummy snacks, and I sat in my bed and I looked at the infinity pool, and I was just like, I love my life. I'm here. I'm arrived. It's happening. So that's my crazy story. And it's been really great. Like I've been here a full day and a half now. So yesterday we all woke up together. I was like, yay, I'm here. And my friend Daria and her family are so excited to see me. And then we all like went out for breakfast, and then Daria and I went shopping in Ubud, and I just got this really beautiful dress, and like a lot of Bali has amazing clothes, and that's something I miss in Thailand. They don't have as great of stuff in Thailand, like from a fabric quality perspective. So I'm really grateful for that here. And it's just, I just felt like girls. Like we were just like girls out on the town having fun, like shopping, going out to nice restaurants, getting massages, talking about business and relationships and everything, and just laughing and just going on adventures. And yeah, I just felt so good. And it just energetically, I feel like such an upgrade, because I don't think I've said this yet in this podcast, but for 3 years in a row, from 2016 to 27, I don't know exactly because it was over December, whatever. For 3 years in a row, from like 2016 to 2019, I know that's 4 years, but in that span of time, I came here 3 years in a row for about 3 months at a time. And during most of that time, I was dating a guy who was half Indonesian. His dad's British and his mom's from Indonesia. And so I very much lived, like I lived in a villa when I lived here, but I also had a very local experience where my ex John and I would travel around to all the villages, and he speaks Bahasa, the local language, and he was a filmmaker for National Geographic, so he was making a lot of he was helping with sustainable projects for the locals here, and I was just volunteering and doing it. And so we'd go to all these villages, and all the kids would chase us through the village and be so excited to see him. And it was just a really beautiful experience. So I've really lived the Bali life for a while, and we lived in Canggu, and I went surfing every day. But I wasn't I never felt like Bali was my home. Like the energy here is very, in my opinion, this is my opinion, very aggressive towards locals. That was my opinion before. And then now, since then, all I've heard is Bali and then traffic. The word is Bali and then traffic, because it is crazy amounts of traffic here now. There's just so many people coming through. So I didn't really have any intention to ever really come back to Bali anytime soon. I was if something brings me there, I'll go, of course, if I'm meant to be there. And that's actually what happened. That's what this is. But I didn't have a strong positive energy feeling about Bali, because I was just yeah, it reminds me of when I dated my ex. And then there's just a lot of growing pains, in the sense I wasn't super spiritual when I lived here before. I was a business consultant launching co-working spaces. And so I was really in the digital nomad scene, and running festivals and parties and going surfing. And those are all really great things, but I wasn't super connected to my body, my feminine energy, and also to the spirit world. And I was very much in my masculine energy. So I was pushing a lot. And especially in Bali, if you push things and you try and make them fit to your Western standards, the Balinese people, and also the energy of the island, they are going to push back. And it's going to be in a very aggressive way, because they don't fuck around. And so I felt this energy coming back towards me. Whereas now, two things are different. One, I'm very much in my feminine energy, so I'm just flowing, And when you're doing that with Balinese people and with the locals, the Indonesians, because there's some people who are not born in Bali. There's many islands in Indonesia, and there's anyways, when you do that with the locals here, and you're just in a positive, happy, flowy energy, that's a nice energy to be around. So it's been a lot more of a positive experience when we were out all day yesterday with me, with everyone here. And the second thing is, I'm on holiday. I'm not trying to live here. Daria and I were trying to meet up with one of our good friends that we used to know in Thailand, who bought a villa in Canggu. And she said the other day, she's I'm sorry I can't meet up with you both, because you're in Ubud and I'm in Canggu. And I tried to go to the grocery store the other day. Basically, she went to the grocery store in her own area that she lives in, and going back and forth from the grocery store, going to the grocery store, going shopping, and coming back took her 4 hours. And so she's I'm basically just going to hang out in my villa until this whole New Year's thing is over on the island, because there's just way too many people, and it's stressing her out too much. And so again, if I was trying to live here, I would probably be having those kind of feelings. But because I'm just on holiday and we're just in our little neighborhood here, and where we're staying, the villa is very close to the center of where everything is in Ubud. So it doesn't take that long to get there. And so we're not really much in traffic. But I'm going to spend a couple of days in Canggu at the end of my trip here. And I'm really excited because that's where I mostly lived. I never really lived in Ubud. I always lived in Canggu. And I'm really excited to see how it's changed and to stay at my friend's villa there and just kind of get the energy of Canggu, because Bali is really big of an island. Like it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times the size of Koh Phangan. And so like basically Ubud is like one version of Koh Phangan, if we're going to say like energetically and as a village. And then Canggu is like a whole nother island within the same island. Like it's a whole nother Koh Phangan version, you know, when it comes to its own ecosystem and vibe and different things. Like Ubud's in the jungle, it's more spiritual vibes. Canggu is on the beach, more surfing party vibes. So yeah, I'm excited to go there and like go to some parties, check out the scene, and go to some of my favorite coffee shops I used to go to, see all the people, meet up with my friends who own the co-working spaces there that I used to work with, and just see how everyone's doing, you know? It's another place where I temporarily called home in my life. So it's like I'm also meeting the version of myself that I was back then and being like, wow, babe, you've grown so much. You're doing great. And this is like, you know, the kind of conversations I have with myself. So that's how I'm doing. Everything's amazing. And I will keep you updated. I'm actually really excited. We have a very special guest coming on the podcast soon. So I'll share that with you on the next episode. And I hope you had an amazing New Year's and just keep being your amazing, shiny self. And I invite you to be brave in the world and go after the things that you want, because since coming here, I feel the energetic upgrade already. And also from a financial perspective, there's already like a lot of financial abundance coming my way. And I know that everything is energy and everything's connected. I know it's because I am stepping into more abundance energetically. I have more of an energetic bandwidth and vibrational reality to hold this abundance. And so it's coming more and more into my life. And that's really beautiful. And I'm here for all of it. And also just the soul connection, the family connection with Daria that I'm really grateful to have. And tonight we're going to do some like 2025 visualization, mind mapping together, where we're going to set out our own visions for ourselves individually for the year, and then do a combined one of like all the projects we're working on and just like what we want to accomplish together. So I'm going to hop off now because we're going to go have dinner and do that. And yeah, I'm sending you lots of love, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.